A 5-year-old black mare. You saw her last time in the pouring rain, and now we've got the wind. So we have every opportunity to misbehave. Horses don't like wind very often. So many times when I'm teaching, people ask me about how to improve the horse's canter for show jumping. Their horses fall in, or their horses drift out, or they're on the forehand. They also ask me, what does between the hand and leg mean? Well, between the hand and leg, in show jumping terms, means in front of the leg and comfortable in the hand, so that I can actually steer and shorten and lengthen with ease. So what we're going to do today is just to practice a few of those things, using some poles to help us to define clear objectives when it comes to making the canter work. So I'm just going to warm up and let the horse relax and chill out for a little bit, I hope. This wind might just cause a little bit of friction, but we hope not. So now we've been standing around for a few minutes, so what I want to do now is just make sure that she is moving in front of the leg. As we said before, that if the horse is in front of the leg and in the hand comfortably, then there's a very good opportunity that we'll produce a good piece of work. Now, what I'm feeling today is that she's a little bit disgruntled about the wind. It's probably blowing up her tail a little bit, but we'll just get on and work through it. I think it's a very important thing also to remember that we have to work through things. We have to work in all weathers. If we go to a very important competition, it starts to rain, we can't just put the horse in the wagon and go home. We have to make sure that the horse understands that attention in the wind and the rain is just as important as when it's a glorious summer's day. And we live in the UK, so we don't get a whole lot of those. Okay, so she's quite settled. Not as relaxed as I'd like her to be, but we'll go with this considering the type of day it is. Then we'll just play, make a little change of rein. She's spooking at one of my improvised sandbags there. Don't want the wind to blow them over. Okay, so we get a little bit more relaxed now, and she's starting to do the important stretching. We want the horse to let go, start to look for the ground a little bit, relax the top line muscles, get the heart rate up quietly and easily, and get all those muscles that we need to jump already in good shape before we go near a jump. Okay, so that's a good start. Now we have a little canter. Now, one of the reasons I chose this horse to do this particular exercise is that she is a little bit downhill. She's not a classical show jumper that sits on her backside and moves uphill into the contact. Because of that, there is a tendency for her to feel that she's on her forehand a lot of the time, and the feel is then that she's pulling forward rather than pushing forward. And you can see that even in the transition to canter, where she doesn't lift. Murphy's Law that, she actually made a very good canter transition. I was expecting her to go a little bit on her nose. However, we'll take it because it was very good. And now again, a little stretching, a little relaxing. She's not holding herself up on the rein. She's actually holding herself up, period. I have one very important sound bite. Absolutely refuse to carry your horse. So we have a nice easy canter on the other rein, and then we'll get to try and improve it. So I don't look for bad transitions, but sometimes I'm kind of grateful if we get one so that I can point it out. My transitions are not intended to be scored in a dressage test. They have to be functional, and they have to be as relaxed as possible. Again, we're not carrying the horse, we're not steering by hauling the rein. In fact, I could drop the rein completely and she'll still keep cantering at the same pace. And a little voice aid also comes in handy. So there we have a good warm-up with a clear illustration, I hope, that we don't carry the horse around with a big tight rein in order to get the job done. Now, of course, because I've dropped the rein, I pick the rein up again and we get a little bit of, hey, what's happening? I thought we weren't doing that. This little program here is intended to emphasize what happens on the turns in terms of falling in or drifting out, and also emphasizes how important it is for the rider to get control of the shoulder after the turn. So we make the turn and we straighten the horse, and we make the turn and we straighten the horse again. So now in trot the same. And I am actually taking a little bit of a risk here because I haven't actually done this exercise with this particular horse before. So I'm hoping that her skill set will just about cover it, which it's doing in the trot. Okay, so that's great. Now you can see there that the turns are quite tight. This is barely a 20-meter square. I'd say it's probably about 16 or 18 meters square. So it will be quite a test. What this does make you realize is how important is the outside set of aids. That is to say, in this case, my right leg and my right rein. My left rein is leading her round the corner. We're not using any neck reining. It's very important not to do that, because I don't want her just going out through the neck. I want her to come through the shoulder very clearly. So this is very, very good. Whoa. Of course, that's the easy rein. When we're making the aid to turn, it's incredibly important to have good core stability. I do rant a little bit about core stability because it's one of the things which all sportsmen need, and if they haven't got it, it's not going to work very well. Core stability really means that this part is not sagging, not flabbing, and it enables us to sit up tall in the corner. It enables us to have an independent seat from the rein and from the leg, so that when I'm asking the horse to canter, I don't lean forward, I don't push the hands up the horse's neck, I make sure that the horse goes from the leg into the contact. And so that was a less good transition on the worst rein. So now it's fairly obvious to me that it's not as good. But what I think is important now is for me to sit squarely on my seat bones on the straight and a little in the right seat on the turn. So straight, right seat bone, straight, right seat bone, lead the horse round. So we're getting a little bit more resistance on this rein, which is perfectly acceptable. It's her worst rein. So again, sitting up in the turn, sit on the right seat bone, hold it with the right leg, lead around the corner with your right rein. And there we're starting now to get a little bit more acceptance and a little bit more submission through the turns. We're still not carrying her, as I can hopefully demonstrate here. We're still coming through the corner, Hardly any contact at all now. Sitting up, little outside leg here. Very good. Oh. One of the things which riders do not do sufficiently is to persevere until they get it right. It's so easy to say, that was hard, didn't like that, do something else. If you persevere, it will come right. And these exercises can be extended so that when you get a little bit better and the horse is a little better organized, we can then make the same exercise inside the poles, which is really now making our horse sit on his hind leg, ready to jump. Right, so now we'll try the same exercise inside the poles on the right rein. So just to clarify that the leading hand that I'm talking about is an open hand. Now this is an exaggeration here, just to make it clear exactly what I'm trying to do. So I'm leading the horse round, just like you would lead the horse round on a head collar. Leading him round. The outside rein stays put. The outside rein does not cross over and neck rein to get the horse to come round. That is incorrect. What we have is one hand either side of the horse's neck, and we're leading the horse round. We're still sitting up tall, still using the inside leg. The inside rein is open. In this case, very open because it's the right canter, which is more difficult. And the outside rein is on the left-hand side of her neck, not coming across. That is very high impact in terms of a young horse in canter. So what we need to do now is clarify why precisely we need those turns. Well, in show jumping, it's all about riding forward in rhythm and balance and having the ability to turn where exactly we want to. So we look over our shoulder, we roll back, we ride straight. Straight. Whoop. All right, a little bit of aggravation there because I think she was just spooking a wee bit at the jumps. But again, we're looking over our shoulder, open rein, round we go, absolutely gun barrel straight. There is some anticipation of the flying change. That's better. Now we're straight. So we make just one or two of the same exercise on the left rein. It's always very important to repeat every exercise on each rein. I was very pleased with that session. I thought that the horse handled those exercises very well. One point I need to emphasize is that occasionally when we start the rollback canter work over in that far side, is that the horse may anticipate the flying change. She may do that because she's just started flying changes, so we have to work through that and make sure that I am absolutely still in the saddle and don't make any intonation at all that we're going to change. Then when the change does come, as it did there, the change was unanticipated and very smooth and very, very clear. The other point I think is very important to make is that sometimes when the horse is falling out or falling in, the rider has a tendency to do one of two things, either to fall in with the horse or to try and sit out away from the horse. Either one of those things is going to make the horse less well balanced. So we must make sure that our shoulders, our hip, and our eyes are on the same plane as the horse's eyes, shoulders, hip. That way we will not be inclined to move the horse about with our seat. every time you make any movement at all, just before you make it, check that you are sitting square in the saddle, and that will help the horse to concentrate on what you're actually doing.